My mother announced that 16 relatives were spending Thanksgiving at my house, while my 8-year-old daughter was struggling to breathe upstairs. My sister replied with a champagne emoji. My father told me to move my sick child into the laundry room so the guests would not be disturbed. Then my mother posted photographs of my home online and called it the Bennett Family Estate. It was not our family estate. It belonged to my husband's late aunt, and my parents had never paid for so much as a light bulb. For 39 years, I had been the daughter who fixed everything and complained about nothing. That night, I answered their 73-message group chat with one word. Perfect. They thought I had finally surrendered. What I actually did before sunrise ended the version of our family they had been exploiting for years. At 1:36 on a Tuesday morning, I was sitting on the floor outside my daughter's bedroom in Raleigh, North Carolina, listening for the space between her breath. Lily was 8 years old and had inherited my husband's dark curls, my habit of humming when she was nervous, and a frightening case of asthma that usually appeared without warning. That evening, what had started as a cough after soccer practice had turned into wheezing so sharp that our pediatrician sent us to the emergency room. We came home after midnight with a new inhaler, a steroid prescription, and strict instructions to keep her calm and away from smoke animals, dust, and crowds for several days. My husband Evan was asleep in the chair beside her bed with his chin against his chest. He had spent 6 hours holding Lily upright in the hospital while I handled Form's pharmacy calls and the frantic messages from parents on her soccer team. He worked as a high school guidance counselor, which meant he could talk a panicked teenager through almost anything. But when our own daughter could not breathe, all that calm lived only in his voice. His hand still shook. I was watching Lily's small shoulders rise beneath her quilt when my phone began vibrating across the hardwood floor. The notification came from a group chat called Bennett Holiday Magic. My mother, Denise, had named it that 3 years earlier. There was very little magic in it. Mostly, it was a place where she assigned food, announced plans she had already made, and uploaded photographs in which everyone looked happier than they had been 5 seconds before. Her message read, "Change of plans. Thanksgiving will be at Claire and Evan's farmhouse this year. All 16 of us will arrive Wednesday afternoon and stay through Sunday. Claire, please have the upstairs rooms ready. Brooke and Mason need the main suite because they have exciting wedding news." Beneath it was a picture of a turkey wearing sunglasses. I stared at the screen until the words stopped looking like English. The farmhouse sat outside Asheville, almost 4 hours from Raleigh. It had belonged to Evan's great-aunt June, a retired music teacher who wore men's work boots made blackberry jam and treated me more gently during the final 5 years of her life than my own family had treated me in the previous 30. When June died, she left the house to Evan. It was a faded, drafty place with a leaning porch and an apple orchard that had not produced decent fruit in years. Evan and I spent 7 summers bringing it back. We replaced warped floors 1 room at a time. I learned to sand cabinets. Evan repaired the porch with help from 2 former students. We saved for a new furnace instead of buying a second car. Lily painted a crooked blue flower behind the pantry door when she was 5, and we left it there because June would have loved it. It was not a luxury estate. It was our quiet place. It was where Lily could chase fireflies without traffic noise, where Evan played old records on June's turntable, and where I could go 1 full morning without somebody in my family asking me to solve a problem. That last part had never survived contact with the Bennetts. My younger sister Brooke responded first. Finally, Mason's photographer said the orchard will be perfect for engagement pictures. Claire, can you remove the kids' toys from the porch? We want an elegant look, my brother Tyler added. Bringing both dogs. They hate being boarded. One of the dogs was a 90-pound German Shepherd that shed enough hair to build a second dog. Lily was allergic to him. Then my father Glenn wrote, "Your mother already invited everyone. Don't make this difficult." Not one of them asked why we had spent the evening at the hospital, even though Evan had posted a short update in that exact chat at 9:14 p.m. Lily is having a serious asthma flare. We are at WakeMed. Please keep her in your thoughts. My mother had reacted to it with a red heart. Apparently, that was the full amount of concern she had available. I typed slowly, because anger made my fingers clumsy. Lily just came home from the ER. She cannot be around crowds, dogs, dust, or fireplace smoke. The farmhouse is closed this week. Please make another plan. The typing bubbles appeared immediately. My mother wrote, "We will keep the dogs downstairs." I answered, "No. She needs rest." My father replied, "We have already bought food. Brooke's photographer cannot. Change the date. Put Lily in June's sewing room if she needs quiet." June's sewing room was barely larger than a closet. It had no attached bathroom and only one narrow window. My father was suggesting that my sick child be hidden in a back room, so my sister's engagement photographs would look pretty. Evan woke when I made a sound I did not recognize as my own. He came into the hallway and crouched beside me. I handed him the phone. He read everything without speaking. When he reached my father's message, his jaw tightened. "They know she was in the hospital," he whispered. "They know, and they're still going." Before I could answer, my phone rang. My mother. I picked up because I had been trained to pick up. That is the simplest explanation I can give. In our family, ignoring Denise Bennett's call was treated like pulling a fire alarm. It created a crisis larger than whatever you had been trying to avoid. "Claire," she said, already sounding exhausted by me, "I need you to be reasonable. Lily was in the emergency room. I know, sweetheart, and that's terrible. But Thanksgiving is important to everyone." I waited for the rest because with my mother, there was always a rest. "Brooke has had such a hard year," she continued. "Mason's proposal was delayed. The first venue was too expensive, and now she finally has something joyful. Surely Lily can watch movies in a bedroom for one afternoon." One afternoon. The message had said Wednesday through Sunday. "You invited 16 people to a house that is not yours," I said. My mother exhaled dramatically. "Here we go with the mine and yours language." Aunt June wanted that house filled with family. My mother had met Aunt June twice. At the second meeting, she complained that June's good china looked old-fashioned. June wanted Evan and Lily to have a peaceful home, I said. Evan married into this family. He understands sharing. Evan heard that. I watched his face change, not with surprise, because none of this surprised him anymore, but with a tired kind of hurt. My father took the phone from her. "Your sister's future in-laws are coming," he said. "Do you want them thinking we're the kind of family that cancels Thanksgiving over a cough?" There are sentences that end an argument because they are wise. There are other sentences that end an argument because they finally reveal what the argument was always about. My daughter's inability to breathe was to him a cough. My sister's future in-laws mattered more because they were an audience. I looked through the doorway at Lily. Her inhaler spacer sat on the nightstand beside a stuffed fox. Evan had placed a bowl there in case the medicine made her sick again. For most of my life, I had answered cruelty by explaining myself more carefully. I believed that if I found the perfect words, my parents would finally understand. So I explained when they borrowed money. I explained when Brooke took credit for work I had done. I explained when Tyler arrived uninvited. I explained until my needs sounded like proposals they were free to reject. That night I had no explanation left. I ended the call and returned to the group chat. Perfect, I wrote. My mother sent 3 heart emojis. Brooke wrote, "Knew you'd come around. Please buy white flowers, not grocery store bouquets." Mason's mom notices details. Evan looked at me. What does perfect mean? It means they can have exactly the Thanksgiving they planned, I said. Just not in our house. Then Lily called weakly from her bedroom. Mom, I went to her. She reached for my sleeve and asked, "Are the loud cousins coming?" I sat on the edge of the bed. No baby. And Uncle Tyler's dog. No dogs. Her entire body softened against the pillow. Good, she murmured. I want my lungs to be quiet. That sentence carried more weight than every family tradition my mother had ever used against me. By 4:20 in the morning, Evan and I had a plan. We would take Lily to the farmhouse after her follow-up appointment the next day, collect medication, and a few sentimental things we kept there, shut the place down, and spend Thanksgiving in Raleigh, with just the 3 of us. The farmhouse had electronic locks because we occasionally rented it to teachers from Evan's school during summer breaks. Every member of my family had been given a guest code at some point. Most had shared those codes without asking. I opened the app and looked at the list. Mom, Dad, Tyler, Brooke photo team. I stared at that last one. My sister had already created access for a photographer in a house she did not own. I deleted every code except mine and Evan's. The screen asked, "Are you sure?" I pressed yes. It felt less like locking a door than returning a key to myself. The next morning, Lily's pediatrician agreed that quiet air in the mountains might help as long as we stayed close to an urgent care clinic and monitored her breathing. We drove west under a gray November sky. Lily slept in the back seat with her stuffed fox tucked beneath her chin. Evan drove. I watched messages pile up. Mom, remember Dad needs the downstairs bedroom because of his knee. Brooke, please move Aunt June's old piano bench. It clashes with our color palette. Tyler, I'm bringing a smoker for the turkey. Need an outdoor outlet. Mom, pick up 12 wine glasses. Matching, please. Brooke Mason's parents prefer sparkling water in glass bottles. Dad, your mother says the guest bathroom still has blue towels. Use white. Nobody asked how Lily had slept. At a gas station outside Winston-Salem, I opened social media and found a post from Brooke. She had uploaded a photograph of our farmhouse from the previous fall. Golden leaves framed the porch. Lily's red bicycle had been cropped out. Across the image, Brooke had written, "Our forever begins at the Bennett Family Estate. So grateful Mom and Dad are hosting both families for an intimate Thanksgiving engagement celebration." Mom and Dad were hosting. At our house, in the comments, my mother had written, "Family is everything." I felt suddenly cold despite the heat blasting through the car vents. Evan took the phone from my hand and read the post. "Do you want me to respond?" he asked. There was a time when I would have begged him not to. I used to protect my family's image, even inside our marriage. I called their demands misunderstandings. I called their insults stress. I called my own resentment a bad attitude. No, I said. Let them tell the story they chose. Why? Because by Wednesday, everybody they lied to will be standing in the driveway. The farmhouse looked peaceful when we arrived. The orchard was mostly bare, and damp leaves lay against the stone path. Inside, the rooms still smelled faintly of cedar and the cinnamon candles Evan liked. Lily curled up on the sofa while we packed her nebulizer extra blankets, June's photo albums, and the blue ceramic bird Lily had made at summer camp. I did not sabotage anything. I did not hide the silverware or turn off the water. I did not leave a cruel note. I washed the coffee mugs in the sink, lowered the thermostat, emptied food that might spoil, and made sure every window was secure. Then I went upstairs. In the main bedroom, garment bags hung from the curtain rod. Brooke had been there. One bag held a cream dress with pearl buttons. Another held a suit in Mason's size. On the dresser was a printed schedule titled Bennett Holloway Thanksgiving Engagement Reveal. It included hair and makeup at 9 a.m., orchard portraits at 2, a surprise announcement before dessert, and family legacy shots on the front porch. At the bottom, Brooke had written, "Claire and Evan can stand on the far left. Lily optional depending on appearance/health." I read that line three times. My daughter was optional in photographs taken at her own family's home. Not because she was too ill to participate, but depending on her appearance. Even found me holding the page. For a moment I could not speak. Then I began laughing. Not because it was funny. It was the strange, breathless laugh that comes when hurt finally becomes too obvious to deny. "Far left," I said. They were going to let us stand on the far left. Evan took down the garment bags. "What do you want to do with these?" My first impulse was to throw them onto the porch. The image flashed through my mind, Brooke's perfect dress in the mud, her schedule torn in half. It would have felt satisfying for perhaps 10 seconds. Then she would have used it as proof that I was unstable. "Put them in her carport," I said. "Her spare key is still in Mom's kitchen drawer." We drove the bags to my parents' house in Charlotte on our way back to Raleigh. They were out shopping. I placed everything neatly beneath the covered carport, sent Brooke a photograph, and wrote, "Your belongings are safe at Mom and Dad's. The farmhouse will not host guests this week." She called 11 times. I did not answer. Then my mother sent a voice message. I played it through the car speakers. "Claire, this stunt is beyond selfish. Brooke is crying in a bridal boutique. Mason's mother has already told people about the estate. Do you understand how humiliating this is for us?" Evan glanced at me. I waited for the familiar guilt to arrive. It came but weaker than before. Guilt, I was beginning to understand, did not always mean I was doing something wrong. Sometimes it meant I was doing something new. Wednesday afternoon, the doorbell camera alerted us while Lily and I were making paper snowflakes at our kitchen table in Raleigh. The first vehicle reached the farmhouse at 2:18. My parents' silver Lexus pulled up beside the porch. Then Tyler's pickup arrived towing a trailer with his smoker. Brooke and Mason came in a black SUV followed by Mason's parents. 2 aunts, 3 cousins, 4 children, and a photographer in a white van. 16 people, 2 dogs, enough luggage for a month. My mother stepped out wearing a camel-colored coat and immediately began directing people toward rooms, as though the house had already opened itself for her. Brooke was dressed in pale beige for photographs. Mason's mother carried a flower arrangement taller than Lily. Then my father entered the code. The keypad flashed red. He tried again. Red. Tyler pushed past him and entered his code. Red. Brooke walked to the side porch. That code failed too. For the next 6 minutes, I watched my family discover a fact I had been trying to explain for years. Access was not ownership. My phone began ringing. Dad. Mom. Brooke. Tyler. Dad again. I silenced it. Evan sat across from me at the table cutting construction paper into stars. "You okay? Ask me in 10 minutes. At the farmhouse, my father was pounding on the door now. Tyler walked around back, peering through windows. One of the dogs pulled free and scattered a box of white flowers across the wet yard. A child began crying because he needed the bathroom. Mason's mother asked a question the doorbell microphone caught clearly. "Glenn, you said this was your family property. Why doesn't your key work?" My father looked toward the camera. For once, he had no answer prepared. My phone displayed a new message from him. "Open this door now. You are shaming your mother in front of strangers." I wrote back to the entire group. "The house is closed, as I told you Monday night, and again yesterday. Lily is recovering from a serious asthma attack. I reserved a private dining room at the Hawthorne Hotel in Asheville under Denise Bennett's name for tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I did not pay for it. You may choose whether to use it. 3 nearby hotels showed availability this morning. Please stop pounding on our door." My mother called immediately. This time I answered. "How could you do this?" She hissed. "How could you bring 16 people and 2 dogs after being told no? Your sister's future in-laws are watching. Then tell them the truth. The truth is that you ruined Thanksgiving because you cannot stand seeing Brooke happy." Behind her, I heard Brooke shouting that the light would be gone by 4. The photographer was asking whether they wanted to relocate. A dog barked. My father told someone to stop recording. Lily asked if she had to hide in a sewing room so Brooke could take pictures, I said. My mother went quiet for half a second. Then she said the sentence that changed our relationship forever. "Claire, not everything can revolve around your child." I looked at Lily sitting 3 feet away, her cheeks still pale from medication, carefully unfolding a paper snowflake. In my home, I said her ability to breathe absolutely comes before Brooke's photographs. I ended the call. At that moment, our neighbor at the farmhouse came into view. Her name was Marisol Vega. She owned the small apple stand across the road and had known Aunt June for 25 years. Marisol was 5 feet tall, wore bright red rain boots, and possessed the kind of calm that made loud people hear themselves. She walked toward my father carrying a basket. "Claire asked me to bring in any packages while the house was closed," she said. My mother pointed toward the door. "Do you have June's spare key?" "June's spare key," Marisol repeated, "for the family estate." Marisol looked at the 16 people, the photographer, the flower boxes, and Tyler's smoking trailer. "This is Evan and Claire's home," she said. June left it to Evan. She never called it a Bennett estate. Mason's father turned slowly toward my parents. Brooke stepped in. "It's shared by the family." Marisol shook her head. "Being welcomed before does not mean you own the welcome." I wrote that sentence down later. At the time, I simply sat there, staring at the camera feed, while somebody outside my family said in 12 words what I had failed to say in 12 years. Then Marisol added, "And Claire told me Lily was sick." I assumed that was why everyone stayed away. The silence in the driveway lasted just long enough to expose them. Mason's mother looked at Brooke, the little girl who was in the hospital. Brooke's expression changed, not to remorse, to panic. "It was an asthma thing," she said. Claire gets dramatic. The doorbell camera caught Mason looking at her, as if he had never seen her quite clearly before. The photographer packed his equipment first. By 3:11, the vehicles began leaving. That should have been the end of it. It was only the beginning. At 6:40 that evening, Brooke posted a photograph of herself crying in my mother's passenger seat. The caption read, "Some sisters will destroy the most important moment of your life just to punish you for being loved." Today, 16 people, including elderly parents and small children, were locked out in the cold with no warning. I will never forget this betrayal. Within an hour, the post had more than 200 comments. People I had not spoken to since high school called me cruel. A cousin wrote that Aunt June would be ashamed. One of Brooke's friends said jealousy was a disease. My mother shared the post and added, "A mother's heart can only break so many times." There was no mention of Lily. There was no mention of the hospital. There was no mention of 3 separate warnings, the hotel reservation, or the schedule labeling my sick daughter optional. I began typing a response. It was long, furious, and filled with screenshots. Evan read over my shoulder. "Will posting that make you feel safer?" he asked. "Or just louder?" I deleted it. Instead, I posted one photograph on my private page. Lily was asleep on our sofa beneath a blanket, her nebulizer mask resting beside her. I did not show her face. The caption said, "Our daughter is recovering. Our home is quiet. That is all we are discussing tonight." Then I turned off my phone. Thanksgiving morning arrived without the smell of a giant turkey or the sound of my mother criticizing how I set a table. Evan made cinnamon French toast. Lily wore pajamas until noon. We watched an old animated movie and ate grilled cheese for dinner because the steroid medication had made her stomach sensitive. It was the smallest Thanksgiving I had ever hosted. It was also the first one in years when I did not spend the entire day moving between the kitchen and somebody else's expectations. Around 3, Lily asked whether Grandma was angry. Children always know. Adults hide tension with closed doors and careful voices, but children feel it traveling through the house like weather. "Grandma is upset because she didn't get what she wanted," I said. "Are you in trouble?" The question broke my heart. Not because she was worried about Thanksgiving. Because my daughter had watched me obey my parents so completely that she believed a 39-year-old woman could still be punished for saying no. I sat beside her on the rug. "No," I said. "I'm not in trouble. Grown-ups are allowed to protect their homes, and moms are supposed to protect their children." She considered that, even from grandmas, even from people we love. That evening, after Lily fell asleep, Evan brought a storage box down from our hall closet. It contained old birthday cards, receipts, photographs, and folders I had carried from apartment to apartment since college. "I think you need to see the pattern," he said. He did not make a financial presentation. He did something worse. He placed our family photographs across the dining table in chronological order. There was our first apartment where my parents stayed for 12 days after their furnace failed. I was 7 months pregnant and slept on an air mattress so they could have our bed. There was Tyler's 30th birthday held in a restaurant I paid for after he promised to reimburse me. He never did. There was Brooke's college graduation. I had designed the invitations, booked the dinner, picked up our grandparents, and disappeared from every posted photograph because I was in the kitchen cutting cake. There was Lily's 5th birthday at the farmhouse. My mother had invited Brooke's friends without asking, then moved Lily's unicorn decorations off the porch because Brooke wanted grown-up pictures. There was my 40th birthday dinner planned early because my birthday fell near Christmas, when my father stood and toasted Brooke's new job for 7 minutes. Nobody remembered to bring out my cake. I found it later in my own refrigerator, with the plastic lid still on. "Why did you keep all these?" I asked. "Because every time they hurt you, you told me it was one bad day," Evan said. I needed to remember that it wasn't. He showed me messages too. "Mom Claire won't mind driving 3 hours. She's flexible." "Dad, ask Claire. She never says no." "Brooke, don't tell Claire the price until she's already there." "Tyler, she'll calm down. She always does." The words did not describe a daughter or sister. They described a service. I had been the emergency contact, the free event planner, the spare bedroom, the bridge, loan, the designated driver, the apology writer, and the person sent into every uncomfortable room first. My reward was being called dependable. The moment I became unavailable dependable turned into selfish. I cried then, not loudly, And not only because of my family. I cried because I had helped teach them how to treat me. Every surrendered holiday had been a lesson. Every unreturned loan had been permission. Every time I laughed after an insult, I had translated disrespect into safety for everyone except myself. I kept thinking I was the glue I said. Evan took my hand. Glue doesn't get invited to the family picture, Claire. It just gets used to hold everybody else in place. For the next 2 weeks, I did not answer the group chat. My mother sent daily messages that changed tone with impressive speed. Day 1, you owe your sister an apology. Day 3, your father's blood pressure is up because of you. Day 5, Christmas will be very awkward unless you fix this. Day 7, I hope yous are happy with the family you chose. Day 9, please call me. I miss Lily. That last message almost worked. Then I noticed she had not asked how Lily was feeling. She said she missed access to her. There is a difference. Brooke's wedding was scheduled for May at a vineyard near Charlotte. I had been helping her plan it for months. I had assembled welcome bags, compared caterers, negotiated hotel blocks, and spent 3 weekends addressing envelopes in gold ink because Brooke said my handwriting looked expensive. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, a cream envelope arrived in our mailbox. Inside was a wedding invitation, addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Evan Porter. There was no Lily. At the bottom, in Brooke's handwriting, were 6 words, adults only. Hope you can behave. Evan looked at me across the kitchen. I expected rage. What I felt was release. I photographed the invitation, sent it to Brooke, and wrote, "We will not attend. I am also stepping away from all wedding planning. The vendor notes, guest addresses, and schedule are in the shared folder. I wish you a peaceful wedding." Her reply came in under a minute. "Don't be ridiculous. You're still doing the welcome bags." I wrote no. She called. I let it ring. She texted again. "Mom already told everyone you're handling check-in. Number. You paid the florist deposit. If you quit, we lose it. Consider it my final gift." Then came the message I knew would come eventually. "You're punishing me because you were always Dad's boring daughter, and I was the one people noticed." I read it once. Years earlier, that sentence would have sent me into a spiral. I would have written paragraphs proving I loved her, proving I was not jealous, proving I deserved a place beside her. This time I answered. People noticed me whenever they needed something. They are going to notice my absence now. I left the wedding group chat. The consequences were immediate. Without me, nobody knew which guests required accessible rooms. My mother did not know the bakery pickup time. Brooke had never confirmed transportation from the hotel. Tyler thought welcome bags meant putting bottled water into grocery sacks the night before. They called it sabotage. It was not sabotage. I gave them every note. I simply stopped performing the invisible labor that had made their lives look effortless. My father drove to Raleigh on a Sunday afternoon without calling. He stood on our porch in a navy jacket, his hands in his pockets, looking older than he had at Thanksgiving. Even took Lily to the park while I spoke to him. Dad did not apologize. He began with consequences. "Your mother isn't sleeping. I'm sorry she's struggling. Brooke's wedding is becoming a disaster. She has 5 months. You know how to fix it." "Yes." He waited, and he asked, "And I'm not going to." His face hardened. "So this is revenge?" "No. Revenge would be ruining the wedding. I'm just no longer rescuing it." He stepped closer. "Family shows up. I showed up for 20 years. We all made sacrifices. Name one you made for me." He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I did not list every disappointment. I did not mention money. I asked him to name one time my mother had changed a holiday because Lily was sick. One time Brooke had driven to help me after surgery. One time Tyler had repaired something at our house without expecting payment. One birthday dinner that had remained about me from beginning to end. He could not. Finally he said, We never worried about you because you were strong. That sentence might sound like praise to someone who has never been punished for competence. You didn't ignore my needs because I was strong, I said. I became strong because you ignored them. He looked past me into the house. Your mother believes Evan is turning you against us. Evan spent years asking me to call you more. He wanted Lily to have grandparents. He is the reason I kept trying. Then what changed you? You told me to hide my sick daughter in a sewing room. He looked down. For the first time, shame, not anger, not inconvenience crossed his face. It vanished quickly. That was said in frustration, and I heard it in clarity. He left 10 minutes later. Before getting into his car, he said, "If you skip this wedding, there may be no coming back." I surprised both of us with my answer. Dad, I'm not the one who should be afraid of that anymore. Christmas came quietly. We did not go to my parents' house. My mother posted photographs of a crowded table with the caption, "Holding close the children who still value family." In the first photograph, Brooke smiled beside a tower of wrapped gifts. In the second, Tyler's children stared at their phones. In the third, my father looked directly at the camera without smiling. People online called it beautiful. Social media had always been my mother's favorite room because nobody could hear what happened before the picture. We spent Christmas at the farmhouse instead. Marisol brought apple butter. Evan built a fire only after Lily's doctor said it was safe, and even then we used the clean-burning insert and kept her inhaler nearby. Lily hung 3 stockings from June's mantle and insisted on adding a 4th for her stuffed fox. At sunset, snow began falling over the orchard. My phone stayed in a drawer. For the first time, our house did not feel like a venue waiting for my family to arrive. It felt like a home that had chosen us back. In February, Brooke sent an email rather than a text. The subject line was "Important Wedding Update." She had moved the ceremony from the vineyard to a hotel because costs had increased. She wrote that she and Mason wanted a clean emotional beginning and had decided not to include anyone who could bring negativity. Attached was a revised family photograph list. My name was gone. Evan's name was gone. Lily had never been there, at the bottom. Brooke added, "Mom says you should still send June's pearl earrings. They count as the bride's something old." I laughed again, but this time it was real. I replied, "June's earrings will stay with Lily. They belong to her family." Brooke wrote back, "I am your family." I did not answer. That was the cruel genius of people like my sister. They used the word family as both a crown and a crowbar. It made them important and opened whatever you had locked. May arrived warm and green. On the morning of Brooke's wedding, I woke at the farmhouse to birds in the orchard and Lily climbing into our bed. We had planned the weekend deliberately, not as a counter-celebration, not to post photographs or prove happiness. We simply knew staying home in Raleigh while imagining the wedding would hurt. So we went somewhere that reminded us what we were protecting. At 10:12 a.m., my mother called. I watched the name light up until voicemail took it. She called again, then Tyler, then my father. Finally, a message arrived from a number I did not recognize. "Hi, this is Mason. Please call me. Brooke is crying, and your mom says you have the emergency box." The emergency box was a plastic tote I had assembled months earlier with stain remover, safety pins, pain reliever, sewing supplies, chargers, snacks, tape, and copies of the schedule. I had left it in my parents' garage with every other wedding item in December. I replied. The box was placed on the shelf beside Dad's workbench on December 3rd. I sent Brooke a photo that day. Mason answered, "Thank you." 10 minutes later, my mother called again. This time I answered, because I knew the box had been found, and because part of setting boundaries is learning the difference between protecting yourself and punishing others. Claire, she said breathlessly. The place cards are wrong. 2 tables have changed. You have to tell me where everyone sits. The seating chart is in the shared folder. I can't open it on my phone. Ask the hotel coordinator. She is busy. So are we. There was a pause. In the background, I heard Brooke snapping at someone about flowers. My mother lowered her voice. Your sister is asking for you. That hurt. I will not pretend it did not. For a moment, I pictured Brooke at age 6, crawling into my bed during thunderstorms. I remembered teaching her to drive in a mall parking lot and holding her hair when she was sick after prom. Love does not evaporate the moment someone mistreats you. That is what makes boundaries painful. Does she want me? I asked. Or does she want me to fix the room? My mother did not answer. Tell her I hope she has a beautiful wedding, I said. If you loved her, you would be here. If she loved me, my child's illness would not have been an inconvenience. I ended the call and cried on June's back porch for 5 minutes. Then, Lily came outside carrying 3 mismatched teacups. She had made what she called an orchard picnic. Evan followed with peanut butter sandwiches cut into stars. I put my phone away. Around sunset, a single photograph from the wedding appeared in a message from my Aunt Melissa. Brooke looked beautiful. Mason looked nervous. My parents stood beside them. There was an empty space at the far left where the lineup felt visually unbalanced. Melissa wrote, "It should have been different," I answered. Yes, it should have. I did not post the photograph. I did not tell anyone that the wedding had struggled without me. I did not need public humiliation to prove I mattered. My absence had already told the truth. 3 months passed. Then, in late August, I received a text from Tyler. Can I call you not about money? I almost ignored it. Curiosity won. He told me his daughter, 13-year-old Ava, had overheard my mother planning Labor Day at the farmhouse. Denise was telling relatives that Claire would be over it by then. She had already promised the main bedroom to Brooke and Mason. I told her you said no guests. Tyler said. What did she say? That you always calmed down. Of course she did. Then Tyler surprised me. I told her maybe the problem is that we always wait for you to calm down instead of asking why you're angry. I sat silently. Tyler cleared his throat. I was awful at Thanksgiving. I knew Lily had been in the ER. I brought the dogs anyway because boarding them was expensive. I let Brooke call you dramatic because it made my life easier. It was not a perfect apology. Perfect apologies are usually written by people who want quick forgiveness. Tyler's was clumsy and specific. That made it feel real. Thank you for saying that, I told him. I don't expect a code to the house. Good, he laughed once sadly. Fair. We did not become close overnight. Trust returned like feeling to a numb hand. Slowly, sometimes painfully. He began by taking responsibility for small things. When our parents needed a ride to an appointment, he handled it instead of volunteering me. He paid back part of an old loan without being asked. He boarded the dogs before visiting Raleigh. Most importantly, he asked. My parents took longer. My father sent birthday cards, but never mentioned Thanksgiving. My mother alternated between icy silence and overly cheerful messages about recipes. She still believed enough time could turn a boundary back into a mood. Then one Thursday in October, nearly a year after the night Lily went to the hospital, my mother called. I answered with my shoulders already tense. Is Lily doing well? She asked. It was the first question, not the 4th question after a request, not a sentence added at the end. The first. She is, I said. Soccer started again. She keeps her inhaler with the coach. I'm glad. Silence settled between us. Then my mother said, Your father and I would like to see her. Would Sunday afternoon be all right? Would it be all right? 4 ordinary words. In another family, they would have meant nothing. In ours, they were the first knock on a door my mother had always assumed was open. 2 to 5, I said. She has homework after dinner. 2 to 5, she repeated. They arrived at 1:58, carrying 1 small bag of apples. No unannounced relatives. No overnight suitcases. My mother asked before taking a photograph of Lily. My father did not mention the wedding or the farmhouse. It was not reconciliation. It was a supervised beginning. Halfway through the visit, Lily showed them the paper snowflake she had saved from the previous Thanksgiving. My mother held it carefully. "Was that when you were sick?" she asked. Lily nodded. Mom made everyone go away so my lungs could be quiet. My mother looked at me. Her eyes filled, but she did not cry dramatically or ask me to comfort her. "Your mom did the right thing," she said. That was the closest thing to an apology I received from her for a long time. I accepted the truth in it, without pretending it erased anything. The following Thanksgiving, we returned to the farmhouse. Not 16 people. Not an engagement photographer. Not a convoy arriving with room assignments. Just Evan, Lily, Tyler, Ava, and me. Tyler asked 3 weeks in advance. He booked a cabin nearby because the dogs were staying with him. He brought groceries without sending me a list. After dinner, he washed every dish. My parents were invited for dessert from 3 to 6. My mother brought the pie. My father knocked even though he knew the door was unlocked. Brooke did not come. She had not spoken to me since her wedding. Through Melissa, I heard she still called me jealous and controlling. Maybe one day that will change. Maybe it will not. Self-respect does not guarantee the ending you want. It guarantees that you stop abandoning yourself while waiting for it. At dusk, Lily ran into the orchard wearing a red scarf, her laughter carrying between the bare trees. Her breathing was strong. Evan stood beside me on the porch with 2 cups of coffee. "Do you miss the old holidays?" he asked. I thought about crowded kitchens, smiling photographs, and the strange loneliness of being useful to everyone, but known by no one. "I miss what I kept hoping they would become," I said. "I don't miss what they were." Inside, my mother asked, before moving one of June's serving bowls. Tyler stopped my father from adding wood to the fire until he checked with us. They were tiny moments. Nobody watching from outside would have noticed them. I noticed every one. For years, I believed love was measured by how much inconvenience I could absorb without changing my expression. I thought a good daughter kept the peace, a good sister fixed the crisis, and a good mother taught her child to tolerate family because blood was permanent. I was wrong. Love without respect is not loyalty, it is access. Peace that requires one person to stay silent is not peace. It is submission. And family is not a title that gives someone unlimited entry into your house, your time, your money, or your child's sense of safety. That first night when I wrote perfect, my parents thought I had agreed to Thanksgiving. In a way, I had. I agreed to let them experience the holiday they had planned, without the invisible daughter, who always made it possible. I agreed to stop protecting them from the consequences of ignoring me. Most of all, I agreed that Lily would never watch her mother disappear into service and mistake that disappearance for love. The lock on the farmhouse still flashes red when someone enters an old code. I no longer see that red light as rejection. I see it as a complete sentence, number, and sometimes no is not the word that destroys a family. Sometimes it is the word that finally reveals whether a family was willing to love you without using you. So tell me honestly, if your parents tried to force 16 relatives into your home while your child was recovering from the hospital, would you have opened the door for the sake of family peace? Or would you have let them stand in that driveway too?